Don't we all just want some good quality time with our plants? Welcome to another cozy plant care video with me. I'm Christina from Leafy Luster, and today I'm going to be repotting tons of little propagations that I have been procrastinating on for way too long now. I'll do my best to be great background noise, okay? Because I know sometimes you just need a comfort person to listen to while you're doing something. Let's light a candle. I would like to romance myself a little bit today and hopefully not burn any of my plants during the making of this video. I guess we will see. This candle I got for Christmas and it smells like the Nivea cream. It's a very nostalgic scent for me from my childhood, so kind of love it, not gonna lie. I hope you're ready for a just chatting plant chore video today, because that's what it's going to be, okay? Don't wanna throw anything on the ground today. Do we think I can manage? Because most of the videos I cannot. Sooner or later there will be soil on the floor. I'm betting on it. Let's start simple with a few Monstera cuttings that I have. They do have nice roots by now. Yeah, I think that's more than enough to just pot them up and then see how they will fare. The soil in my soil bin is so dry. I probably should just like water it in from time to time because it becomes really hydrophobic. It's just pain in the ass. These are still cuttings from the Monstera large form. So I had so many stumps from my little rescue mission, if you can call it that. Some people wouldn't. And some of the stumps took a really long time to produce a new growth point and like propagate. But I am very persistent and I didn't give up on them, so now I still have propagations from those stumps. As always, I'm trying to contain the mess as best as I can. And I think, as always, I will be unsuccessful. I'm starting to feel like this candle was such a bad idea. I hope this is not foreshadowing and I'm going to burn something or someone later, but you know, I like to live dangerously, I guess. Good. Number one, can you stay? And this one needs a little more. Let's water this in right away, just so the soil can settle a little bit. You too. Okay, I'm going to collect the plants in this tray that I have, so I can just keep the nursing pots in there and the water won't spill everywhere. That's great. Let's put you to the side. Next up, I have but one little Alocasia fried egg propagation to do. Great root system, so let's get it into a pot ASAP. And recently I have a lot of struggle with spider mites on Alocasia specifically. I know they are more prone to it, I guess because they have so delicate thin leaves, but it's really annoying and I am going to order some more beneficiaries soon. Like once or twice a year I usually try to, as a preventative measure, treat like all my plants with some beneficiaries. A general good practice to prevent like bigger outbreaks that are like irreversible and maybe like they kill half of your plant collection, because that would be in fact terrible. That would be terrifying. Why don't I tell you about Japan and everything all about it? Because I came back about 2 weeks ago now from Japan, and as you can see, I already took care of all my plants. I had them in boxes and like all over the place so my neighbor could water them, and it was quite the task to get everything back into place. I can already proudly tell that nothing died so far, knock on wood. I think the measures I took were quite successful. real quick. I have a bunch of Syngonium mottled cuttings here, and Japan itself was of course great. We were there for a whole month, and I think I never took time off this long from work. So it was quite nice actually. Not because I hate my work, but it's just nice to not have to go, you know? I'm sure you understand. Not only in preparation, just in general, I watch a lot of content on Japan, like on YouTube, for years now, even though I never had a specific trip planned. So I already had quite the picture of Japan in my mind, and now going there in person, it wasn't like I was disappointed, but my picture I had previously like painted in my head while watching all those videos was obviously altered. It was different than I expected or imagined it to be. Not necessarily worse, but just different. And I think it was really healthy for me actually to finally go there myself and just see it for myself and not live with those like weird expectations you get when watching like social media posts of all the pretty places. Because let's be honest, Japan is like just a country. Of course they have rich culture and history, but it's just a country, and there are like parts of it that aren't as picture perfect. You have like ugly parts of the city, you have overworked people somewhere, you have things that kind of startle you because you are not used to them or you don't really agree with the culture. All in all, we had a wonderful trip. We went around by train and also by rental car. Driving on the left side was definitely something. But honestly, it wasn't that hard. I was scared in the beginning. The first time we rented a car, I forced my husband to drive because he was already driving on the left side in Australia. I'm going to pot up 3 cuttings into one pot to make it a little lusher than it would be on its own. And honestly, I think I need a bigger pot. 1, 2, 3. As I was saying, yeah, I was a little scared of driving on the left side at first, but it really isn't that hard and I got used to it pretty quickly. I have to say there isn't a lot of car traffic in most parts of Japan, especially like outside of the cities. So it was really chill and relaxed to drive there. It wasn't like scary at all. Can recommend. And I mean, you're on your own schedule. You don't have to rely on public transportation, which is sometimes very, very handy. Like my wish for the travel was to be a little explorative and a little unconventional and a little outside of like the general cities or places that everyone visits. And I don't want to be a pick-me girl here, like, oh my god, like I'm not going to Tokyo and Kyoto like all the other tourists, because I went there and I went to all of the temples that you see on Instagram every day, and it was really packed at times, which was kind of annoying. Everyone was just taking pictures of everything, as did I. I'm not better than anyone, but I also tried to like balance it out with visits in like small towns where there was 0 tourists at all. Shout out of my favorite places in Japan, especially if you want to have a little bit more chill and not so crowded places to visit. I would highly recommend Shikoku. It's one of the main islands, and we did rent a car and just drove around it. And I think on the whole island, like we had all of the beaches to ourselves. There was not a single soul. We did go in October, but still the weather was like around 25 degrees most days, even hotter some days, like 30. We did go swimming, hiking, we visited temples, and as I said, there was almost nobody there and it was really chill. And we really had like this exploratory feel to it. Like, oh my god, we are the only tourists here and this is so real. A little more than just the super touristy spots with all the touristy snacks and restaurants and this facade almost that is like built to accommodate the tourists. If I had to recommend like one town or area that I really liked, I would definitely recommend Onomichi. That is a seaside town. It's really easily reachable by train or Shinkansen. It's between Osaka and Hiroshima, and I think it's really worth a visit for like 1 to 2 days at least. And then the islands and like the inland sea also 1+, very nice. But it's really hard to pick a favorite, honestly, because every city, every prefecture we've been to has its own like vibe and specialties, and the people are a little different everywhere. So I definitely want to go again because we haven't seen the north of Japan, and also I would like to explore the south of Japan, so Kyushu and Okinawa as well. Some of you may know I have been learning Japanese. I kind of wanted to challenge myself, see if I can do it. It would be nice to understand anime, for example, but I think I'm still far away from that. But all of this to say, I was so proud of myself, I have to say. I was able to talk to people in Japanese. They were understanding me, and we had like little small talk here and there, for example in bars or temples or just like in the neighborhoods, and it was so cool. It was the coolest thing ever. It showed me the limitations of what I know today, and it's like not nearly enough to properly talk to people, and it's still really hard. I have trouble understanding them if they talk very quickly, but it also showed me that it is possible, and it's already helped me a ton while we were there. So my motivation to learn Japanese is on fire at the moment. Moving on with this little jar, which is one of the ones that I have been procrastinating on, because just look at this. There's so many roots here. White princess in there and some Syngonium aureum. We have okay-ish variegation in there. Put my hair back. It's so annoying. I have found the Syngonium aureum, so the yellow variegated one, is way more prone to losing its variegation in comparison to the white variegated one. This might be just anecdotal evidence. I mean, both tend to lose the variegation, but the aureum is even worse in my opinion. I need bigger pots for this. I should have done this way sooner. I'm going to pot this little white princess and hope for the best. Oops, looks cute. This is much more appropriate for this size, I would say. A lot of my friends and colleagues were asking if it was necessary to speak Japanese while visiting, and I would say no. Especially if you're in Tokyo and Kyoto, I think you can go by with English and pretty much have no issues. In Tokyo, there were a lot of people that would immediately speak English with me. I mean, I don't look like a native, and then I always had to force myself to speak Japanese if I wanted to train a little bit. Then outside, if you're going to, we went a little north to Takayama and Kanazawa, for example, and in the mountain region, the Japanese Alps, it was quite handy to know Japanese as well. And then further south or in Shikoku, there are also young people or hotels that have English speaking employees, but there also are hotels or, for example, car rentals, I don't know, ferry staff, or some of these people that don't speak English, just almost nothing. In the worst case, you still can use Google Translate, Google Lens, or the hotels or car rentals will have those little machines where like you speak like English into it, and then it will translate Japanese for them, and then they speak Japanese into it, and it will like tell you the English. But you have to be very flexible. Good. This is my Syngonium aureum. Let's keep talking about plants for a second here. Next, I want to do this propagation jar of philodendron micans. And let me just show you the roots of this thing, because how long has it been in here? I don't know. Few months. It's crazy. I hope I can even get it out, honestly. Can you see this? This jar is full of roots, and this plant has already grown new vines from the propagations. Ideally, I would love to put them up sooner. Yeah, this will be a very satisfying pull, or like not at all. Oh my god, it's so... Oh my god, this looks so funny. It's just the shape of the jar. At least I didn't have to crack the jar. It has quite a large opening. Down here it's solid roots. I almost don't want to untangle this because I already know it will be a nightmare. I could just pot this up like this and make a really bushy big plant out of it. I tried removing this and I just ripped it. I am going to open a new pack of the aroid mix from Cybotanica. I think they have changed the design of the packaging. If you like ready to use soil mixes, Cybotanica offers all types of different soil mixes for different types of plants. And I have a code. You can save 10%, I think, with my code LEAFY at checkout, just so you know. Hallo, geht's noch? And we're back online. The aroid mix is really chunky. If you want chunky soil mix for your plants, because every plant influencer and every plant person ever has told you to get a chunky aroid mix, which is not wrong. You can get the aroid mix. Okay, I think that isn't even half bad. The only issue I see here is really that there's no soil getting like inside of the root ball. I will have to water this in and hope that the soil diffuses a little bit. Done. Really nice, really simple, done. I have a few rooted Sansevieria cuttings in here. Well, some of them are rooted. Oh no. So I'll just stick all of them into a new pot. I do have the Cybotanica cacti and succulent mix, which I'm going... What did I tell you? There's going to be plants and dirt on the floor. Anyway, I'm using the cactus and succulent mix. Ta-da! Sansevieria is really nice plant to gift to people, or maybe to take into like your office or something. And even people that say they don't have a green thumb or they always forget watering can usually deal with it. Doesn't mean it's safe and it won't die, but the chances are a little higher with those. Those philodendron splendids are not really there yet. I have a few begonia autumn amber that should be ready to be potted, and also begonia amphioxus. And on this topic, recently someone left a comment and asked how the water in my propagation jars is so clear, and if I like change it or clean it every week or something. And honestly, for some propagations the water is like super clear. I never change it. Sometimes I even just like fill it up with fresh water if the water level gets too low, but I never change it and it just stays clear, or it even becomes more clear, if that makes sense. And maybe like 70 or 80% of my propagation jars look really nice and clean, and I don't really have to do anything except to top up the water. But some of them don't. Some of them grow algae in it. Some of them, the roots or pieces of the propagation just turn into mush, it gets slimy. And in this case, I try to change it as often as possible in hopes I can like save it somehow. And like it still produces new roots and it's mostly fine, but it does not look good. And sometimes it even smells really bad. So, but that's what I do. I suspect a few reasons. Here I also have Hoya Mathilde cuttings. I haven't changed the water in 1.5 months. I have topped it up once. It has like a yellowish green shimmer, but it's clear. It's not murky, it's not slimy. The roots look healthy as well. Either the plants, when you took the cuttings, you didn't callus it over, and then sometimes the open ends can like get slimy, and sometimes bacteria or mold or fungus can get into the open wounds of the plant. So maybe a tip would be to, before sticking your propagations into water jars, wait like half an hour, go back, maybe tap the bottom of your cutting, see if it's dry, and then stick it into water. Probably a good way to propagate anyways. Oh, my nails are so dirty. Oh shit. I don't have begonia soil, so let's just take the... Should we take aeroid mix? Oh wait. I have something even better. Oh, that will be perfect. Okay, change of plans. I will use the fern mix for my begonia. And the reasoning behind this is I think the fine hairy roots of begonia would enjoy a finer mix than, for example, aeroid mix. It's way too chunky, way too like the many moving parts. I don't think that's great. And ferns and begonia have pretty similar fine roots, if I'm not mistaken. So why not try it? The fern mix consists of a little bit of perlite, some soil, and a lot of quartz sand, which is very fine. It's very nice to touch actually. And maybe my begonias are going to appreciate it. If it does not work out, then at least I learned something. I used to pot up basically everything into one universal soil mix that I was mixing myself at home. Like I bought perlite and orchid bark and soil and worm castings and all different types of things, and then I had bags and bags everywhere to store. But I was using this universal mix for everything. For cacti, for begonias, for my aeroids, for everything. And honestly, in most cases, it works for the plants, at least temporarily, I will say that. So number one, begonia aphoxis is done. Looks a little janky still, but it will have to grow in. Okay, let's try with the begonia autumn amber as well. See how this one does. By the way, I feel like I kind of need to apologize for my absence from YouTube. I know you guys watching, especially if you're still watching this video, you are very supportive, very kind people. You are really understanding and I appreciate that a lot. These are really big cuttings. Let me show you the roots. I will try to separate those cuttings because it's a little too many to just put into one pot. This is very nice. How can you not love those nice red leaves? It's just a pleasure to look at this plant. Love it. It's one of my favorite plants, I believe. It's just such a nice pop of color in my plant collection. The cool thing with begonia is you can just propagate from a piece of leaf. Like it will actually produce a new plant out of just a piece of ripped leaf. That's crazy. Begonias are so cool. And it's not all begonias. For example, the Ampheoxys, I don't know if it's possible, but the begonias that have like a rhizome, you can just propagate like half a leaf, for example, and it will still work, which is really freaking cool. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do those two together. Also, on 1st of December, I'm taking the JLPT N5 test. That's a Japanese language proficiency test. So Japanese has 5 levels, N5 to N1. I am going to take the N5 test, and I'm obviously studying a lot at the moment because I want to make sure I pass it, of course. We did like 15 pots today. It doesn't feel like a whole lot, but it was all very necessary, and I'm glad I finally came around to doing it. I'll get to watering in those plants and tidying up after myself. See you next time. Bye!